Yo, Big C in the house. You know the name. Finn Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami Heat blazing. We scorching the floor. Marino the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play-by-play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squad's the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Finn Posse Podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Finn Posse. We the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it aqua tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test. Expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess. What's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold an obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11 is...
What up, Finn fans? Welcome to another episode of the Finn Posse Podcast. I am your host, Big C, and this is brought to you by Game Changers Media. How is everyone doing today? Good morning. Happy Victory Monday. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays as the new year approaches. I want to give thanks to you all. I'm sorry I was absent last week. I tried to spend some time with some family, get away from things. I could have done a better job notifying y'all. I apologize about that. But sometimes you just gotta get away, take a breather, and I'm trying to put together a game plan to better utilize this channel, so I can get you guys better information, give you a better experience. So I have been hard at work at that. Also, I got to pay bills and I got to work real jobs. It's a dream that someday maybe that this could eventually take the place of that. But right now, I don't have the big time investors in my channel. I don't have the super chats. So, I got to go out there and make that money the way that I can. And, but I am glad to be back. I am glad to be here with you on this glorious Victory Monday. And I'm excited to talk about this Miami Dolphins football team. I'm sure you guys are super excited. Probably some more than others. That hopium creeps in. We got a lot to discuss and we'll get into it. Let's say our good mornings to everybody in the chat. Good morning. Bonnie, good morning. JD the Great, what up, brother? Glenn, good morning. Hot dog. What's up? Glenn says, I hate that Mike played not to lose in the second half. I agree, Glenn. I agree. Absolutely did that. Lombardo, good morning, brother. Good morning. So let's get into it. The Miami Dolphins yesterday beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a game that I felt like was a well-rounded performance by our Dolphins. I think all three phases of the team looked very good. The offense, like Glenn said, in the second half, played not to lose. We weren't really aggressive. But in that first half, the offense was humming. The defense, if you're not a fan of Jordan Brooks, get your temperature taken. Jordan Brooks is an animal. The Miami Dolphins need to invest in him long term. I know that this is kind of considered maybe a rebuild or a retooling. But Jordan Brooks, he needs to be a part of whatever Miami's doing. He's still fairly young. He leads the league in tackles. He, no matter what, this guy's out there making plays. I think far and away our best defensive player at this point. So get Jordan Brooks, get a deal done long term with that guy. He is a monster. As far as the Dolphins' future, yesterday was a promising performance from our rookie class in general. You had Marshall coming away with an interception. You had Zeke Biggers blocking a field goal. I'm starting to feel a lot better about this draft class. I've had confidence in them all along. I know a lot of people were worried about them. Jonah struggled this year. He was rated the worst guard in the league. Kenneth Grant, not the big gaudy numbers people were hoping for. But this draft class is turning out to be a very well-rounded draft class that I think can help us rebuild and retool this team for the future. I am absolutely in love with this draft class. And, I'm glad that Chris Greer's gone, but at least he gave us this draft class as a parting gift. You know what I mean? That he gave us this draft class as a parting gift, because I think top to bottom, this draft class right now is looking like a home run. It's looking like a home run. You got Jonah. Jonah has improved. I think he will continue to improve. Kenneth Grant, excuse me. Kenneth Grant has made plays. Kenneth Grant is a space eater, a double team eater. He's out there, and he's not always gonna get the gaudy stats, but he's gonna allow other people to eat. Jordan Phillips, I think he has limitless potential. I think he can be great. Zeke Biggers, he's probably the true defensive tackle of the bunch. Just a massive human being. He's probably outperforming all the other defensive tackles not named Zach Sealer on this football team. Like I said, Marshall came up with an interception. Dante Trader has got some quality start playing time. You got Ollie Gordon, and now, of course, Quinn Ewers has performed admirably. The first game, you could take bits and pieces and say, all right, first start, he looked all right. He was okay. Yesterday, much better. I will say this about Quinn Ewers, and I want people to limit their expectations. Quinn Ewers, people are excited, and I get it. I get being excited because we've dealt with Tua Tagovailoa, and it's not that Tua was so bad, but Tua has limitations. Tua doesn't have the strongest arm. Tua struggles in certain aspects of his game. So once we get this quarterback that has a stronger arm, that has more zip on his passes, that can run for a first down, that can do a lot of the things that Tua can't do, we become enamored with that, and we get super excited and super emotional that this guy can do those things. And I don't want us to get our feelings hurt. I don't want us to get our feelings hurt by Quinn Ewers. Now, I have great hope for the kid. I think he looked really good yesterday. I will say this, the ball flies out of his hand. This kid's got a super quick release. Like that ball, when he's ready to throw it, that thing goes out. That ball jumps out of his hands. Absolutely one of the quickest releases I've seen. I mean that. Around the league, in my years of watching the NFL, Quinn Ewers seriously has one of the quickest releases I've seen. Like when he's ready to throw it, that thing's out of there. He's got very good zip on his ball. He can make the throws downfield. He doesn't have the greatest arm, but he's got a good arm. He's got a good arm. It's better than Tua's, much better than Tua's. You know, and there's things that he brings to the table that Tua doesn't. And this isn't a Tua bashing, thing. Obviously, we're getting ready to move on from Tua. Will Tua be on the roster next year? I'm not sure. I don't know what the future holds. I would think that the Miami Dolphins, if there's not an opportunity for Tua to start, they would love to move off of him. They'd love to figure something out. I don't know what that means, though. I don't know what it means. First off, he did not hit Quinn Ewers in stride. Stop. That was, come on. See, that's the thing that I'm talking. You're allowing your fandom to play trick. He didn't hit Theo Weiss in stride. Stop. It was a very good play. He looked off the defender. He tricked him with his eyes, but he didn't hit Theo Weiss in stride on that play. Great play. Great job by Quinn Ewers. Great job by Quinn Ewers. The trick, the corner, or the safety. I forget which one it was. I don't know if it was a corner or a safety, but he led him to believe that he was going to the out route with his eyes and used his peripheral vision to hit Theo Weiss for the long touchdown, to get Theo Weiss wide open. He did not hit Theo Weiss in stride. But that's here nor there. Here nor there. Let's take a look at this game. The score was actually a little bit closer than what the game actually was. I was super impressed by this Miami Dolphins team. The defense came out and was absolutely phenomenal. Every time we need to make a play, we seem to make a play. We had a couple interceptions, forced fumble. Bradley Chubb has played really good this year for us. Been our best pass rusher. What's his future here in Miami? I feel like the Miami Dolphins are probably going to move off him because of the salary cap situation, but we'll see. I would not mind having Bradley Chubb back in the building. I think he's a team leader. He's a team first guy. So if there's any way that we can keep Bradley Chubb around, I would absolutely do it. Well, let's take a look. The Miami Dolphins beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-17. Like I said, this score is closer than what the game actually was. In the second half, I never really felt the Dolphins were in danger of losing this game. We gave up a big pass play at the end to Chris Godwin, which allowed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go down and get a garbage time touchdown. The game was pretty much over by then. Tampa Bay got it in, but then they kicked the onside kick, and we recovered, and it was a wrap from there. Miami led 17-7 at half. Tampa Bay came out at a field goal. Mike McDaniel played a very conservative second half, or this game could have got out of hand. It didn't have to be as close as it was, but Mike McDaniel super conservative in the second half. And we got away with the victory. Team stats. Tampa had 380 total yards. Miami 298. Passing yards. Baker Mayfield 327. Quinn Ewers 153. Like I said, a lot of that came in the first half. Quinn Ewers could have had a much bigger game. The Miami Dolphins could have had a much bigger game. Rushing yards, the Miami Dolphins continued to run the ball at a high rate, whereas we just shut down their running game. We shut their running game down. We turned them into a pass-only offense, which when you can do that to a team, you're gonna come away with the victory 9 out of 10 times. They had 6 yards per play. We were at 5.5. They had 21 first downs. We had 13. You know, they're going to beat us in a lot of these categories because they had the ball and they were putting drives together, but the Miami Dolphins were making plays and getting turnovers in crucial moments to keep them up on top. Fourth down efficiency, Tampa Bay went 2 for 2. Miami did attempt 1. Total plays, Tampa Bay had 63, Miami 54. Tampa Bay gave up 3 sacks. Miami gave up 2. Punts, Tampa Bay punted 3 times. Dolphins 5. Penalties, 5 for 45 for the Tampa Bay. 10 for 77 for the Dolphins. We need to cut those down. Tampa Bay lost 1 fumble and threw 2 interceptions. The Miami Dolphins did not commit a turnover. And time possession, Tampa Bay 32-06. The Dolphins 27-54. Boom. We got Baker Mayfield. 33 of 44 for 346 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times, and a fumble. You know, Baker wasn't horrible, but we forced Baker into making mistakes. This secondary played exceptional yesterday, getting turnovers. They locked down an explosive receiving core. You know, this receiving core is nothing to play with. They got McMillan. They got Ibaka. They got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They got a very good receiving core. The Miami Dolphins locked them up for the most part. McMillan had 7 catches for 114 yards, and Godwin had 7 for 108. But they both had 2 very long plays. Godwin had a 59-yarder. McMillan had a 33-yarder. McMillan's was a lot of underneath things. For the most part, they clogged them up. Mike Evans, 3 catches, 31 yards, did get a touchdown. The Rook had 3 catches for 20 yards. They completely shut him down. Like I said, they stopped the running game completely. Bucky Irving had 9 carries, 19 yards, did absolutely nothing, 2.1 yards a carry. Baker Mayfield, he got a couple decent runs. It absolutely drove me crazy because it looked like we had him sacked a couple times, and he was able to escape for first downs. He had 3 carries for 16 yards. White had 2 carries for 10 yards. Tucker, 2 for 8. Absolutely destroyed their rushing game. They weren't able to do nothing against us. As for the Miami Dolphins, Quinn Ewers, 14 of 22, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked twice. Very good performance by the rookie. He had a much better first half. Didn't attempt a whole lot of passes in the second half. Again, Mike McDaniel playing very conservative football in the second half. Devon Achane, 18 carries, 83 yards, 4.6 yards a total. Another very good game by him. Jalen Wright, 5 carries, 56 yards, 11 yards a carry. That's great. Jalen Waddle, 1 carry, 7 yards. On that carry, he did something to his ribs. Hopefully he's all right. Quinn Ewers, 4 carries, 5 yards. He did get a key first down. Malik Washington, 1 for 1. And Greg Dulcich, 1 for -7. Theo Weiss, the Rook, had a long 63-yard touchdown strike from Quinn Ewers. Them guys were getting it done in training camp together. It's nice to see them translate that to the field. Greg Dulcich had a great game, 5 catches, 58 yards. He was Quinn Ewers' number 1 target yesterday. He had a touchdown. Achane, 3 catches, 29 yards. Julian Hill, 1 catch, 16 yards. Again, the Miami Dolphins, I felt like this was, like I said, this game was never really in jeopardy to me. I felt like we had it locked up after around halftime. I felt like there was a good chance that we were going to pull out this victory, just the way that our defense was running around and taking care of business. The off, but yeah, a great victory for the Miami Dolphins. Another one of those games that you didn't think that the Miami Dolphins were going to win when you looked at the schedule at the beginning of the year. And there's one more week left of the season, and we have to talk about Quinn Ewers. Is Quinn Ewers the future? Is Quinn Ewers the future? Let's check out some of these comments. Miller says, how ironic is it that Greer's best draft class is the year he gets fired? I mean, I guess it is kind of crazy, right? I guess it is kind of crazy. But I'm glad he got to leave on a high note. Hopefully that's good for his future, that he can point back to this draft class and, if he gets another job opportunity somewhere and be like, hey, look at the Miami Dolphins draft class from 2024. We absolutely hit a home run, and hopefully he gets another job somewhere else. I don't hate the guy. I don't hope harm on the guy. I hope he gets another job somewhere else, and hopefully he can screw their franchise up too. Glenn says, what I like about Ewers was his press coverage, and he was able to talk about the coverage and what was happening on the field. Yeah, I mean, Quinn Ewers seems to know the game of football, right? He sits there, and I watched his press conference. Very intelligent kid, knows the game of football. This guy was a top prospect. Listen, he had offers when he was in the 7th grade, commitments to the University of Texas. They came out, and he was at a camp, and he was throwing better than the high school kids. Quinn Ewers has been that dude. Now, his draft stock suffered at the University of Texas. Obviously, he fell to the 7th round. He was supposed to be a top-tier prospect coming out, a top draft pick. Whether it was injuries or other concerns that made him fall down the draft board, it is what it is. But Quinn Ewers is a more talented player than your average 7th round draft pick. That's without question. So the Miami Dolphins, regardless if Quinn Ewers becomes the future starter for the Miami Dolphins or becomes just a very good backup quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, I think the Miami Dolphins got a steal in the 7th round regardless. If Quinn Ewers' max potential is being a very reliable, a very good second string quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, that's still a win. That's still a win with a 7th round draft pick. And like I said, I think people should temper their expectations of Quinn Ewers. Listen, this is 2 games in. He's looked good. But once defenses, get tape on the guy, get to study the guy, it's going to get more difficult for the kid. It's going to get more difficult. Now, if you look at what he was able to do yesterday with limited weapons, and let's not make a mistake about it, the Miami Dolphins' weapons are very limited at this moment. Yesterday, Jalen Waddle went out the game. Who's left? What weapons are left on that team? Now, Weiss had that long touchdown, but, Weiss is an okay player, but he's not. This guy isn't a top-tier talent. He's not a top-tier talent. Darren Waller, he didn't get very many opportunities yesterday. I like Greg Dulcich, but let's be real, I think he's a sure-handed guy, but is he a top-tier talent at the tight end position? No. Malik Washington, nowhere to be found. The Miami Dolphins need to address that in the offseason. 100%. We need to get some playmakers in here. on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of things we need to address this offseason. This is going to be a very interesting offseason. First and foremost, we got to figure out what we're going to do with Tua Tagovailoa. We got to figure out what we're going to do with Bradley Chubb. Devon Achane wants a contract extension, rightfully so. Right? I think we need to figure out a way to lock up Brooks long term. I think you need to figure out a way to get Rasul Douglas back in the building because Rasul Douglas has been phenomenal. Phenomenal. I was so wrong, so very wrong about Rasul Douglas. I thought it was going to be another situation like Jordan Poyer, another washed up Buffalo Bills player. And that has been nothing farther from the truth. Rasul Douglas has been phenomenal. Rasul Douglas has been phenomenal. And I think most podcasters, most sports analysts, most fans were wrong about Rasul Douglas, and they owe the guy an apology. I was listening to TD the other day, an episode he did when we signed Rasul Douglas, and he straight up led into the guy. He said, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen. He's the worst rated corner. He's a 4th-string corner." And listen, I can't blame him. I can't blame him for that because I was probably saying a lot of the same things. But this guy's been lights out this year. I think he was kind of snubbed on a Pro Bowl. Jordan Brooks was snubbed on the Pro Bowl. Brewer was snubbed on the Pro Bowl. Miller says, this season I lost faith in Waddle. We should have took the Bills offer. I agree. We should have took that offer by the Bills. Another one, we should have took the Bills offer. I agree. Bonnie says, it's way too early to tell if Ewers is a starting quarterback or a backup. Bring in competition next year and see how he does. We need a dominant wide receiver similar to A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf and have fast wide receivers like Malik Washington or Tyreek Hill. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You would love to have a big physical receiver that could dominate smaller corners. And then you also want to have the speed component also. Regardless, we need to address our playmaking position. I still got this little bit of hopium in the back of my mind that somehow, some way, we bring Tyreek Hill back on a cheap prove-it contract. Does it happen? Probably not. But, man, I love me some Tyreek Hill. I ain't going to lie. I love me some Tyreek Hill. Try to trade Tua, but I think we're stuck with Tua for one more year. You know, I don't see, that's the $1 million question. If the Miami Dolphins are not going to give Tua an opportunity to start, I think they just cut him. And I say it for this reason because he's not the 2nd-string quarterback right now. And the reason that he's not 2nd-string right now is because they don't want to risk him getting injured. And they don't want to risk him getting injured because there's some kind of injury settlement that they would have to pay him. Now, I don't know what that number looks like for next year, but I have to feel like it would be similar, that they don't want to put the guy in because if he gets hurt, and there's a good chance he gets hurt, they would be on the hook for a lot more money. So, you know, I think if he's not going to be given an opportunity to start next year, I think they cut bait completely. I think they just cut ties. I don't think he's on the roster if he's not given an opportunity to start. if they feel like they can move on with Quinn Ewers as starting quarterback, that saves the Miami Dolphins so much. So that gives them so much more flexibility, right? Because they're on the hook for Tua's contract. But you got Quinn Ewers, who's making pennies on the dollar as a 7th-round draft pick. If they can go into next year and Quinn Ewers can compete and play good football for the Miami Dolphins, and we don't got to go out there and spend 70, 80 million dollars on a bridge quarterback, or you know what I mean? That's the best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins, is that Quinn Ewers can come in, play good football, compete next year, and be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins for at least next year. That's the best case scenario. Because then they got a very cheap quarterback that is playing quarterback, and then you got the very expensive quarterback that you move on from. Because anybody that you're going to bring in to replace Tua that's not a rookie, if he's competent, it's going to cost you north of $20 million. We're talking 20, 30, $40 million on top of what Tua has. That's our whole salary cap. You know what I mean? Good afternoon from Iceland. This boy Joe is all over the place. Good morning, Joe. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys feel about Quinn Ewers. Again, very good game yesterday. Super impressed with how quickly the ball flies out of his hand. Listen, I heard that Quinn Ewers had a super quick release, but watching him yesterday, that ball flies out. When he's ready to throw that thing explodes out of his hand. It really does. It really does. It's super impressive to watch. I think he's played pretty confidently, and I think that the more he gets comfortable, the better he can be. But again, when defenses start to watch film on him, that's when the real tests are going to come. JD the Great says, I like what I saw, but I need to see a few more games. Of course. Of course. And I would say that it needs to be more than just a few games. I think, before you can feel confident that a player can be your future, you need to see at least a half a season, 2/3 of a season, maybe even a full season. I trade Tua to Atlanta or team with a veteran quarterback and send Waddle for vet quarterback and draft pick. Man, see, we had an opportunity to get a first-round draft pick for Waddle, and we bypassed it, which I think was super dumb. And I know the pick was to the Buffalo Bills, but still, the fact that you were offered a first-round pick for Jalen Waddle, who at best I think is a third-round receiver. Maybe I'm going to take some heat for that. But, man, when you were able to get a first-round pick for Jalen Waddle, you should have absolutely jumped on that. I ate fermented shark last night. Most disgusting thing I've ever tried. What's fermented shark? Quinn Ewers isn't your average 7th rounder. He has elite. Hold on. Quinn Ewers isn't your average 7th rounder. He has elite pedigree his entire school career. Injuries derailed his career. Well, I said that, Miller. I said he's not your average 7th round pick. This guy was a top tier prospect ever since he was in the 7th grade. What up, Marcos? Miami did their thing. Carolina, not so much. Carolina still has an opportunity to make the playoffs next week, though. All they got to beat is a beat-up Tampa Bay team. And Tampa Bay, they were acceptable to the run last night. We can still get a first rounder for Waddle. Glenn, I doubt it. You know, when the trade deadline approaches, teams are desperate to add players. They're likely to give up more. At the beginning of the season and preseason, in the offseason, teams aren't giving up a first rounder for Waddle. Jalen Waddle is under team-friendly contract. Keep Waddle, in my opinion. How team-friendly is it, though? We're still paying him more than what we should. I doubt it. We're not getting a first rounder for HN either. But I would keep HN. HN is phenomenal for us. He's proven that he can stay healthy for the most part. HN's still super young. Keep HN. He's dynamic. HN's dynamic. You keep him. Unless you don't think we're going to be able to compete in the next 2-3 years. If you don't think we have a chance to compete in 2027, then by all means move off him. Because that's 2 years. That's 2 years of added wear and tear to an undersized running back. If you don't think we can compete and be a Super Bowl contender by 2027, you might as well move off him. Keep Waddle and HN. We need to pay HN now before it's too expensive. Yeah, I think HN is not going into next year without a new contract. I think it'd be foolish of him to do so. Of the 2 recent games you were saying, Shador, I don't know about that. It's too early to tell. Shador's been good. I think Shador's been good enough that Cleveland doesn't have to go and take a quarterback this draft. Joe says it tastes like ammonia and piss. Oh, man. Yeah, they will, but it'll be to a team in the back end of the first round. I mean, you're more confident in it than I am. I don't think that they get a first round for Waddle. Buffalo was desperate. We got a tough schedule next season. Chiefs, Chargers, Lions, Bears, plus AFC East division opponents. That's the one thing look at this year. That's the one thing that you never know what the schedule is really going to be like. This year we thought we was going to have a super tough schedule. We were going to definitely lose to Washington. Cincinnati beat the shit out of us. We were going to lose to Washington. We were going to lose to Buffalo. We were going to lose to Tampa Bay. And a lot of those games turned into wins. We cannot afford to pay $60 million for a running back. So you just moving off HN? HN's gone. Ain't no way we eat 20 plus million for a running back when we're eating Tua's contract at the same time. Yeah, I don't think they're trading HN. I don't think they are. New England has already turned it around. Look at Denver as well. Our franchise tries to copy other teams and fails miserably. Listen, I'm not in love with Denver. I know Denver and New England are sitting at top of the conference right now. New England had a super easy schedule. Drake May's been great this year. He's been great. But look at the schedule. Look at the schedule. Yeah, Big Dean, I'll message you all. I'm trading HN. Glenn says, I'm trading HN. If Dolphins lost yesterday, Dolphins would have the 7th pick. Would we have moved up that high? Would we have moved up that high to the 7th pick? Because I have the updated draft And this is where we sit right now. We sit at number 12. Well, we wouldn't have had the 7th pick. We would have had the 8th pick, maybe. So I don't think we can. I think the farthest down the line we can fall is 13, and maybe we can. Can we move up at all? Can we still move up to 8 if we lose next week? If those other teams win and we lose, can we still move up to 8? The only team the Pats beat with a winning record is the Bills one time. Absolutely. Outside of the top 10. We're going for lucky number 13. If things fall right, Bonnie says we can move up to number 9. It is what it is at this point. You know what I mean? Listen, regardless, we were going to miss out on Mendoza. The only chance we had of getting Mendoza was trading to the Giants. Now, I've seen a scenario where we gave up this year's first, next year's second to the Giants for the number 1 pick, but the Giants beat the Raiders yesterday, right? Right? Who's got the first round? Who's got the number 1 pick? Yeah, the Raiders. The Raiders are absolutely taking Mendoza. The Raiders are absolutely taking Mendoza. That's the only quarterback I'd be willing to trade up for. The kid from Oregon, I think, is going back to school. See, you said you would talk to the Giants, then waddle HN to the Giants for the 2nd pick. Giants got their quarterback. Well, the Giants got their running back, and I read something that said that if the Giants were to have gotten their first pick, they would have considered taking Mendoza and trading their quarterback. Nobody wants Tua, brother. Nobody. That's not a trade asset. That's not a trade asset. Tua is not a trade asset. Yeah, more staying another season, I'm pretty sure. Giants have Neighbors and Robinson already at wide receiver. Yeah, I think they want to add another receiver regardless. Cutting Tua is our best option at getting rid of him. At this point, I probably agree. I don't think teams know how desperate the Dolphins are to get rid of Tua. I think teams know that at this point, the Miami Dolphins are not going to be able to keep him on the roster. So if they just wait, he'll get released. No trades. Let's give Ewers 1 year to see what happens. And JD, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that because I think our best bet is the 2027 draft as far as getting a quarterback is concerned. I like the 2000 draft class for quarterbacks way more than I do this class. Now, if we had an opportunity to get Mendoza, okay, cool. But like I said, the Raiders are 100% drafting Mendoza. Giants would not give up 2nd pick for anything other than future picks. I agree. Tua is a trade asset for clearing money off the books. That's it. Nobody will give any draft capital. Yeah, I mean, if if a team's got a huge, the only way that someone's taken on Tua is if someone's got a huge amount of cap space that they're not going to use and they want to gain draft capital. So let's say, just as an example, there's no truth to this whatsoever. Let's say the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers got $70 million in cap space. The Carolina Panthers are rebuilding. They're not going to spend all that money. Blah, blah, blah. They would take Tua's contract and Tua Tagovailoa, but we'd have to send them a second, a third, and a fifth round pick for them to do so. That's how that would work. And we would get a seventh rounder back. You know what I mean? Glenn says 2027 draft class will be good, especially since Moore stays in college. I agree. And then hopefully Arch Manning takes a step forward. Hopefully he's going to be available. We'll see. We'll see. The Carolina Pampers. But yeah, I think Quinn Ewers, depending on what he does next week, this is a big game. New England has something to play for. They're still playing for the number 1 seed. So it's not like they're going to sit a bunch of players. So we're going to see the best possible version of the Patriots. And, we almost beat the Patriots the first game. This game is in New England. I think the Miami Dolphins have a chance. I think it's going to be a tough game for us to win. But if we can play defense, stop the run, establish the run against them, we can have a chance. Or it could get ugly. To almost beat them, I expect Quinn to win. We'll see, right? We'll see. This is a big game for the Miami Dolphins also, though. This is the difference between having a losing record or having, a non-losing record. This is the status quo to not the status quo. Now, I know we still didn't make the playoffs, and I'm playing games with my words here, but in reality, is that enough for Stephen Ross to bring Mike McDaniel back? Is that, hey, we did finish a game better. We got rid of Chris Greer. We realized that Tua Tagovailoa is the issue. Mike McDaniel's shown that we may have something in Quinn Ewers. Is that enough to bring Mike McDaniel back for one more season? Quinn Ewers gets to keep that ball. Of course, Quinn Ewers keeps the ball. He's the quarterback, baby. He's the quarterback. Do we still got a losing record? Dang, we do. My bad. Yeah, we still got a losing record. So take away everything I just said. I want to know from you, is Mike, say it here, say it proud, say it now. Is Mike McDaniel back next year? Is Mike McDaniel back for next year? Because I'm leaning right now that he's going to be back. Is Mike McDaniel back for one more season? JD DeGray says, unfortunately, yes. Only the real survive says yes. Miller says no. Raphael says no. Are we hiring a new general manager or are we giving this guy a chance? See, to me, I truly believe that because Tua and Tua's contract, it stops us from going all full blown rebuild. It puts a damper on what we can do next year. It puts limitations on what we can do next year because Tua's contract is crippling to us as a franchise. So, to me, I see a world where we bring Mike McDaniel back. We keep the general manager we have right now. Or maybe we hire a new general manager this offseason. Maybe we do. But I think that Mike McDaniel comes back one more year. We possibly see what we have in Quinn Ewers. We do not draft a quarterback in the first round this year. We don't. We go best player available at a position of need. We just try to build this roster up the best we can. And then I think after next year, if we do not make the playoffs, if we don't show success with Quinn Ewers, I think in 2027, that offseason, we fire Mike McDaniel. We hire a coach. This coach gets to come in. Tua's off the books. We have a ton of salary cap room. And that new head coach gets to select their quarterback in the future in the 2027 draft. And then we go on from there. But this roster should look pretty good because we should have 2 full draft classes worth of players that should be difference makers. And then you get the new coach with the new quarterback for 2027 with a ton of salary cap space. Dolphins don't do BPA. They reach based on needs. That was the old regime. Chris Greer's no longer here. Anthony, what's up? What's up? Yeah, but he'll be on a short lease. If we start how we did the last 2 seasons, he will be gone quickly. And I don't think that's untrue. I think if he starts out slow, he's fired midseason. We need to trade down for more picks. I could see that happening also. O-line, D-line, okay for now. Beef up that linebacker crew and secondary. Yes, I agree. Well, O-line, I think the O-line's okay right now. For the first time in a while, I feel like the O-line's okay. So I would say pass rusher, skill position offense. We need a wide receiver. We need a top tier wide receiver. We need a top tier corner. Yeah, hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you can. Big C, let's say hypothetically Quinn plays well these last 2 games and performs well during training camp, preseason, beginning of next season. Is he the future quarterback? I wouldn't say he's the future. I would say he's the starter for the 2027 season, or at least has an opportunity to start. Not 27 season, my fault. The 26 season. I would say he has an opportunity to start in 2026 if everything goes correctly for Quinn Ewers. But no, Quinn Ewers is not going to be labeled the future quarterback of the Miami Dolphins through 3 meaningless games in an offseason. No. They're not, and that he doesn't have to be, and that's okay. The Miami Dolphins don't have to give him a contract. He's on a rookie deal. He's a 7th round pick. They don't have to give him they can just go with him and be comfortable doing that. Trade for Burrow and T. Higgins. Burrow's hurt more than Tua is. Only way McDaniel's still here is he will be tank commander next season. No sense hiring a short-term answer when McDaniel is what fired is everyone's eyes. If Mike McDaniel had more quarterback competition in camp, could we have avoided Tua piss poor play? Quinn Ewers earning position in camp, Tua, Zach, and Ewers. Maybe. But I don't think Quinn was probably ready in training camp. You got to remember he was a rookie quarterback. It's hard for rookies. There's so much information and so much things for these kids to learn at the very beginning. Quinn probably wasn't ready at the beginning of the season. Defense should be our focus. That's how we held Quinn. Well, the defense has been pretty good. The defense has been much better than what I thought it was going to be. I think the one area that our defense is lacking right now is a pass rush. We need to be able to get after the quarterback. And that's the one area this defense has struggled. I've been highly impressed with the secondary. Now, do they make mistakes? Sure. But Rasul Douglas has been phenomenal. Jack Jones has been pretty good. Fitzpatrick's been decent. The other safety position has been, you know what I mean? But as far as stopping the run, the Dolphins have been good the second half of the season. We need to get guys that can get after the quarterback. Big C question, if there are the three guys that are available at number 10, who do you choose? Tate, Tyson, or Fano? Listen, I gotta examine these guys, and I'll get into that as soon as the off season after next week. I'll start going through all that. Body says, I'd like the Dolphins to try to get Malik Willis. Yeah, I don't know if Green Bay's trying to let him go. Now, Bonnie, you want Malik Willis as your future starter or what? A 1-year starter? Because, Malik Willis, I think he's talented. But I'm ready to, you know what I mean? I'm ready to define our quarterback of the future in the draft, not a retread. And that's what Malik Willis is, a retread. He wasn't good enough in Tennessee. They traded him over to Green Bay. It is what it is. I want to get our Patrick Mahomes. I want to get our Josh Allen. I want to find our quarterback of the future. And there's a lot more of the stuff that we're going to talk about this week. There's the Lamar Jackson rumors. There's the Joe Burrow rumors. We're going to break all those things down this week. But basically, today I wanted to touch on the Dolphins-Tampa Bay game, which I ain't going to lie. After that week in Cincinnati, I thought we were probably going to get cooked. Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay team, they needed this win to go to the playoffs. They're not fully eliminated yet, but I thought this Tampa Bay team would beat us yesterday. And I was pleasantly surprised with how well all three facets of this team played. I was pleasantly surprised. Dolphins need to sign a quality backup like Joe Flacco as bridge quarterback. I don't want Joe Flacco here. Just bring him in to see what he can do. I heard he was going to be a free agent. Yeah, but he's going to be an expensive free agent. So you're going to have to commit quite a bit of money to that guy. He's probably thinking he's a fringe starter. Big C joking around. Would you bring Phillip Rivers in? He's playing decent with the Colts. No, absolutely not. Zeke Biggers blocked extra point. Yes. All three facets yesterday. Dolphins win. Great job. Great job. All three facets. Three options for competition next year: Will Levis, Spencer Rattler, Jameis Winston. What say you? Oh, listen, man. I'm not spending big money. I mean, for what? The only reason I'm bringing in one of those guys is if I feel like I have a team that's ready to compete next year. I don't. What's any of those three guys doing as the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins? We're not winning more than 7 games, so it's not worth it to me. I'd rather just go with Quinn Ewers. I'd rather just go with Quinn Ewers for 1 year. Now, if I got a starting quarterback, a star quarterback, and I feel like I got a team that is a Super Bowl competitive team, a playoff caliber team, sure, I bring in a quality backup quarterback to back up my star quarterback. But in the position we're in, you're trying to bring in guys that could possibly start for our team, and I don't want any of those guys. I don't want any of them. Caleb Downs would be a great option. We need help at the safety position. I don't know. The edge rusher from Miami, we need help at the pass rush position. Bottom line. We need to be out. We need someone that's a dog they can get after the quarterback consistently. Because Chop hasn't showed it yet. Chop went down yesterday with a concussion. He just hasn't shown it this year. Very disappointed in Chop Robinson this year. Very disappointed. And the fact that, there's a good chance that Bradley Chubb's out the door. The Miami Dolphins are going to be a tough situation. Center Andrew Myers played well, right? I mean, he didn't play horrible. It sucks that Myers comes back and Brewer has to go out because Brewer's played at a all pro level this year. But we're definitely going to see who we should keep, who we should get rid of. We're gonna break down this roster for next year. We're gonna break down the draft. All that stuff's coming. It's gonna be a fun time. I got some more changes coming to the channel. Hopefully they can start soon. It's gonna be a much different experience on this show, and I hope everybody likes it. I hope it becomes more accessible for everybody, that people are able to watch the whole show and get an understanding, yet we're still able to interact with each other on a consistent basis, because I love the back and forth with you guys. I love to talk football with you guys. Again, I don't pretend to be some fancy sports analyst that knows everything like a lot of my peers do, but I'm a football fan just like you guys, and I have opinions, and I feel like I have good opinions, and like a lot of you guys do, and I like to share those and just shoot the shit with other Dolphins fans. So yeah, invest in the O&D line. Yeah, again, I think the O line right now is okay, especially with Meyer back. If Austin Jackson can stay healthy, James Daniels can get back to being healthy, Jonah can continue to get better. I think the offensive line is okay. Is it perfect? No. But finally, I feel like there's more pressing needs than the offensive line. I think if we go into next year with this offensive line, we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. And the fact that we're using an extra lineman in the run game only helps us that much more. Dolphins first round pick, I'd take an edge over a right tackle. That's me. But I wouldn't necessarily go edge. I don't know. It depends who's available when we get up there. If Caleb Downs is there, I'm taking Caleb Downs at 13 or 12 or what. I mean, we don't even know where we're picking yet. Trust me, we'll do plenty of mock drafts. Trust me. We'll break down the salary cap. We'll get into all of that. But yeah, great victory by the Miami Dolphins yesterday. Again, Quinn Ewers looked really good. Hopefully, he continue the build on that. Is Quinn Ewers the future? Let's pump the brakes on that. I think that at the very least, he can show that, he has the potential to be, at the very least, a competent backup quarterback, a quarterback that we can, throw in there if our starter goes down, and we can expect him to come out and compete and hopefully win games for us. And who knows? Maybe he ends up being the starting quarterback. Maybe he ends up being the Dolphins' future quarterback. Who knows? But it's far too early to label him or crown him the next great quarterback. It's just too early. And that's not me being a hater. It's just, it is what it is. Don't get your hopes too high. That way you don't get your feelings hurt too much. Much appreciated, amigo, for your show and showing love to chat, amigo. I appreciate it, and I love to do that, and I love all of you, and I love talking with all of you. You know what I mean? I absolutely do. Dolphins need to trade down for more picks. And JD, I'm not against that. Specifically if it means we can increase our odds of getting that quarterback of the future in 2027. If we can get ourselves more draft capital yesterday or for next year, 100%. 100%. If we can get more draft capital for next year when we're ready to take a quarterback, so if we finish outside the top 10, if we finish outside the top 5, we can move up into that top area to get the quarterback that we want. Absolutely. I don't think I'm having studio issues, am I? Let me see one. Lalo did not have a reception. Yeah, he got hurt. That first play. Elwood is your Super Bowl champion. Elwood. But yeah, a lot to talk about. It's going to be a very interesting off season for the Miami Dolphins. We have we have one we have one game remaining against the division champion New England Patriots. Let's concentrate on that, and then we'll get into everything else, right? We will this week be talking about Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, all the other rumors going around the league. I'll give you what I think, what my take is on Lamar Jackson possibly being a Miami Dolphin, Joe Burrow possibly being a Miami Dolphin, what it would take for the Miami Dolphins to get them. A lot of different coaching options. We got a lot to break down, a lot of great conversations to be had. But right now, let's enjoy today. Let's look forward to one more game in this regular season. And then we're on a long hiatus till the next football season. I know this one didn't turn out like all of us wanted it to, which is sad. But as Dolphins fans, we've came to getting used to this. You know, we're used to finishing the season outside the playoffs, finishing the season on a sad note, a disappointment. You know, we're used to being disappointed as Dolphin fans. And hopefully, you know, hopefully we're getting new people in the front office that will change it up for the Miami Dolphins so we don't have to continue to suffer. But let's enjoy this victory Monday, a very good victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and look forward to the New England Patriots. But I will see y'all tomorrow. We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson and his ties to the Miami Dolphins and whether the Dolphins should trade for Lamar Jackson. Should the Dolphins make a move and bring Lamar, two-time MVP, to South Florida? We'll break it down. But I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I will see you all later. Till next time, you know what it is. Fins up. Peace. And I love you.
Yo. Big C in the house. You know the name. Fin Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami heat blazing. We scorching the floor. Moving the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play-by-play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squash the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Fin Posse Podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Fin Posse. We the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it aqua tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.